Okay, so I gotta be honest. I don't get this one. I don't get why you get rid of Trent Brown here. I really don't. And we're gonna get into all of it. I know there's reports that he's been lazy and unmotivated. Really, the only real report that I've seen that has maybe some truth to it is that he showed up out of shape, which is not great. He showed up apparently around 400 pounds, and he usually walks around 360. So certainly not good. But I guess my point is, if he's lazy, unmotivated, and still plays like an elite tackle when he's healthy, I don't know. I think that you hang on to that guy, and if you are going to trade him, you have to get more than a 5th and a 7th. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, they just probably have the best offensive line in football now. They already had one of the best offensive lines in football, so getting Brown and they're already getting Marcus Cannon back. I guess they just decide they don't need him, and Michael Onwenu can now move to guard, which is his natural position. So this is a huge move for them. Let's talk about why I still think Trent Brown is really good. So we'll start off with a play like this. So what's going to happen here is Brown is going to be part of a double team where he helps block the interior defensive lineman, and then it's going to move up to block a linebacker. So this is obviously a running play. And what's interesting about this play, and the reason why I wanted to show this one, I'm going to show a couple that aren't necessarily his highlight reel level plays, but what he can do when things go wrong. He's not just someone who has to have the right hand placement. He can figure out ways to still be effective. So watch what happens. Carr takes the snap, and you see Brown. He's finished off the double team pretty well, but now the linebacker could potentially get past him, because basically Brown is turned too far than he would want. So what is Brown going to do? I think a lot of guys would still just try to, reach their arms out, but you're probably not going to get too much contact and really deliver any kind of blow on the guy you're trying to hit. So instead, watch what he does. He just turns his body sideways, and listen, it worked. That got the block. Do what you have to do. Don't worry about, being the most technically sound player. If you can find a way to block him by using your hip, then hip check him, do that. It makes absolute sense. So again, he can do things like that, which I think is cool to see. And that's my point, really, is that, all these plays you're going to see, except for one, is going to be from the most recent season when he was quote unquote out of shape, and he's still playing at a high level. So yeah, this one's another good one, which is just sort of a smart play where what's going to happen is he's going up. It's a pass blocking play this time, and it's a one-on-one matchup with that guy right there. So this play starts, and you notice that the edge rusher is, both guys sort of have their hands down because, obviously a key way to win one of these matchups is to grab someone else's hands or swipe them away. And so both guys want to keep their hands sort of away, but Brown realizes that, he has a reach advantage because he's ginormous, and so he kind of knows he can just get his hands there quickly, but watch how quick his hands are. I mean, look at that. He just completely stuns 92 right there, and this ended up being a big touchdown on the other end. So again, really good play by Brown. I also really like this one where what's going to happen is, once again, this is a pass blocking play. Once again, one-on-one matchup. Although one interesting thing here is that there is going to be a Vegas player, a tight end, who's lined up to the right of Trent Brown, who, played right tackle with Las Vegas. So the interesting thing there is that the edge rusher is probably going to go further towards the outside than you typically would against a tackle, because you don't know if the tight end is blocking or not. So watch, that's what he starts to do, 57, but then he's going to try to get back to the inside. This is a great move. 57 deserves a lot of credit for this move. Really well done. And you see Brown is a bit off balance now, and all he can do is get his left arm and kind of try to grab that right side of 57's body and push him back, but it's going to be tough to pull that off. I mean, to have the strength to pull that off after a move like that, this is how you see not just sacks happen, but very quick sacks happen. However, Brown does pull it off. He's able to push him out of the way. It was a quick throw, but it didn't have to be because Brown did a great job, and he's so strong. And that's kind of the thing, is to get a sack against Trent Brown, you have to be perfect or get really lucky because he's just such a talented guy, and he does have a high football IQ. I'll show one more from the Raiders. I also have another play that I want to show, but the last one when he was with the Raiders is this one. It's going to be a twist right here. So basically the way it works is that, Brown, 77, the edge guy. If you haven't figured that out by now, I don't know what you're watching. So the edge rusher is going to run sort of to Brown's left, and then you have an interior defensive lineman run around to Brown's right. The hope is basically is that, the two offensive linemen just don't realize this. Either the guard never picks up the edge rusher or Brown never picks up the defensive tackle. However, watch how good of a job they're going to do at passing their opposing players off. Once this play starts, Brown easily knocks the edge rusher over and gets back over to block 90 and ends up being a touchdown. Again, really talented play by him. Nothing crazy, nothing wild, but just a smart play. He knows what he's doing. He has great hands, and he's just, a mammoth of a human. He's 360. Apparently, he's 400 pounds sometimes. So, I just think that there's so much value in a guy like this that a 5th round and a 7th round pick, that just seems like a no-brainer. And, I want to show one more play, and then I'll really get into the end of how I feel about this. So this is the play I wanted to show, because really, if you remember this situation, this was in that, Super Bowl where nobody scored any points. This is the only touchdown of the game. It's a huge point in this game. And who's the guy that they're going to go to? They're going to go to Trent Brown right here. I mean, that's where they're running the ball towards. He's the guy that they trust the most in this situation. They also have, a fullback in the game. And part of what made this team so good was, yes, Trent Brown, who you could honestly make an argument was, if you take out positional value, the best player in that run. But you also had like Gronkowski and Devlin, who were both great blockers that weren't offensive linemen, which just completely shifted the dynamic and allowed them to run the ball so effectively. But yeah, look, Brown, it's not even a great block by him, but he finishes the block, which is important, and they do get a touchdown. So it's not like this highlight reel level block, just a good block, and obviously it's more about the situation and showing how much faith Belichick had in him. Honestly, maybe I don't have to show how much faith Belichick had in him, because let's be honest, what Belichick is doing here isn't something he often does. He's paying a player double-digit millions of dollars. He is going to be giving Trent Brown $11 million next year, which, listen, he has the cap space, and it's now been a restructured deal. So the Raiders saved $14 million. That's the main reason they're doing this. I'm assuming they're going to spend that money on defensive players and free agency. I don't hate that move in a vacuum. I just think they needed more money back. But for the Patriots, you have the cap space. Your offense was an issue last year. It wasn't the offensive line's fault, but you know what? Make it better. Why not? The offensive line is so important. And I'm telling you, if the Patriots get a receiver and a quarterback, this is a dangerous team. I really do feel that way. They have an offensive line that's legit, maybe the best in football now. And again, it was already really good. So a top 5 offensive line, they just went out and added an elite level talent. I mean, they have on Onwenu now, they have Shaq Mason, Isaiah Wynn, Trent Brown, and David Andrews. Just incredible stuff. I mean, that's ridiculous. So, and who knows, they have cap space to work with as well. They could get a tight end. There's some tight ends in free agency, get a receiver. I mean, this is a great move for them. It really is. So yeah, I think it's a wild move. I think they shouldn't have gotten rid of him unless they really, I mean, I guess the logic again, I understand the logic behind trading him in a vacuum, just because, like, another thing is, their offense was great without him last year, for the most part. Had a couple bad moments, but for the most part was great, even when he was hurt for most of last year. So, spend that money on defense. I get it. I just think they should have gotten more, and for the Patriots, I think it's a fantastic move. You're buying low on a potential all-pro level player. It makes a ton of sense, and you're only paying $11 million for him. I think it's great. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.